What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show back with another video. Now today we're talking about a classic game, man. It's been buried in the sands of time. Yes, we talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Wheelie Breakers. Now I know what you're thinking. What is Wheelie Breakers? What is Yu-Gi-Oh? You probably know Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a really big franchise. Don't worry, my friend. I'm here to refresh your memory. But first, so let's start with the basics. Yu-Gi-Oh! Wheelie Breakers is a racing game. It's set in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, obviously. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Brand. The card game, you know, where children's dreams go to die. It's a racing game, though, which is odd for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. You heard me. I said it's a racing game. And if that doesn't hook you, if that doesn't make you curious, I really don't know what will. So here's the thing, though. The game wasn't just about racing. No, it was a lot more than that. It was basically like a Mario Kart type thing, but with Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. You had to collect cards and build a deck like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! But you would basically summon those cards and use those abilities to defeat opponents in the race. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember spending hours trying to build the perfect deck when I was younger. And to be honest, you really got to have like the right ratios, the balance got to be on, you know, like the offense and defense, you need the perfect balance of that. And it's the same way with this game. You're gonna get wrecked in races if you ain't really got like no defensive traps or something, or you know, got like a really powerful monster that confronts you, or if you don't use strategy to realize what monster is gonna get hurt first. Some of those cards are downright ridiculous. But the real fun is started when you really get into races. Now granted, it's not nothing crazy, it's just, you know, a whole bunch of motorbikes running around everywhere, but it's really fun. It's really fun, and honestly, I'm gonna make this statement right now. If you guys have an old Wii, like for me, I have an old Wii. I don't really bust it out like that, but one game I do have is Wheelie Breakers. I think it's fun for the whole family. Even if you don't really know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh!, it can serve as like a nice little Mario Kart substitute. It's a little bit more wacky, not in terms of like the items and the monsters, more like the design of the game could be kind of annoying sometimes. But there were a lot of obstacles to avoid and power-ups to collect, and of course, I mean, you're trying to knock your opponents off the bike. You're trying to cause as much chaos as possible, you know, just like a typical Mario Party, Mario Kart type situation. Let's not forget about the characters, man. The characters is based off of one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I think I actually stopped at this one and stopped at the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, but this is my favorite out of all of them. You know, you have the cool and calm and collected protagonist in Yusei. Or you got Jack Atlas, who's basically a rival with a heart of gold. So many villains and stuff that you have to face off in that series, and you get them all in the game, which is really cool. A lot of different cards and stuff to collect and play with. I will say though, the game didn't catch on as much as I would like. I honestly would have rather had a Wheelie Breakers 2. But I mean, at this point, the game concept is kind of dead, considering they moved on from different Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. And this one in particular is the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Series which really focuses around like motorbikes and stuff. There was like a little bit of it in Arc V, I believe, which is another Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, but not really enough to warrant a whole sequel to a game for. I generally feel like I used to love these Yu-Gi-Oh! Games in the different formats, because we have a very popular Yu-Gi-Oh! Game now that's based in more in real life. You know, we have Master Duel, which is based really into real life Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's basically what it is, real life Yu-Gi-Oh! But I like a lot of the games that had like the funny, wacky minigame type style of play. Like maybe it didn't really catch on because it was such a departure from the original formula of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Master Duel is the original formula, you know, copy and paste, stamped it is the original formula, you know, and maybe it's just too weird for people to get into. Maybe people just didn't really know about it, even though it's a shame that it's been forgotten like it has. But you know what they say, out of sight, out of mind, so people don't really talk about it. You know, I wanted to bring it back to the forefront because I want to remind you all about this forgotten gem. Honestly, if you're feeling nostalgic, go and whip it out, man. It's a great game. You might be surprised at just how much fun you actually have. Now, I want to talk about one more thing that made me really love Wheelie Breakers. It was the fact that you could actually use the Wii motion controls to like kind of really control your bike. I'm actually lying. That was not really one of my favorite things. In fact, I hated the Wii motion controls in general. Like, I just hated them as a concept. You know, you can really play this game on anything, but the Wii motion controls was kind of fun to really try to get used to. It made it a lot more challenging than using a regular controller, because it obviously was a lot more challenging to use it as like a motion control sensor. let's be honest, the motion controls in general could be really, really frustrating at times. I mean, there was definitely moments where I felt like I was fighting with the controls more than I was actually racing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's part of the experience, so I can't really be mad. Speaking of experiences, man, I gotta say, now, I have a family member that I kind of treat like a little brother, and, at this point now, I wouldn't really be calling him that, but, back in the day, he was really not, like, really back with the Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, and, this little brother, he really wasn't into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like that. He really couldn't understand the concepts. At the same time, it's like, I was young, he was even way younger, so it was like, for him, he really couldn't understand it as much, but the thing is, he actually did love racing games. He was a really big Burnout fan and Midnight Club fan, so I thought I would introduce him to this game. I actually played this game most of the time off of his Wii. And regardless, man, I mean, he really didn't really get into Yu-Gi-Oh! After that. I mean, now he's a little bit more receptive to that type of stuff, but he's not really into Yu-Gi-Oh! The reason I brought him up is that there was a story, right, where basically, back then I used to be like like I said, this family member isn't my little brother. I'm just calling him my little brother because of the way that we had our dynamic. But what I mean by that is that every time we used to play a game, I would obviously know more about the game, or I would play the game more and stuff, and I would like bring great delight into beating him at every possible game that we played. So the funny thing about the motion controls, and the reason why I say they're actually very terrible, like, he got so frustrated that he literally threw the controller across the room. I mean, it was his stuff, so I really can't be mad, but it was just hilarious, man. Like, games back then really used to take a toll on your mental sanity. You would play a game for hours and hours and you just could not beat somebody. That would be something that would really irritate you. Don't worry though, he got me back in Naruto Storm later on. But, with that being said, guys, even with the frustrations and the very irritating races, in terms of like, there was some times where like computer opponents would be very, very difficult to get through, and there was like a really big spike in difficulty and stuff. But that happens a lot with older games, just the games that were made in that time period, so I'm not really gonna look at it with too harsh a scope. I will say this though, even with his frustrations, Yu-Gi-Oh! Wheelie Breakers will always hold a special place in my heart. It was a game that dared to be different. It was a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, and coming off of like the World Championship Series, I was really looking more into like Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that had like different modes of play, and this was it. I mean, it took risks that other games probably wouldn't have took, and for that I always be grateful because it was a fun experience. I put so many hours into it. It was great. And that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this trip down memory lane, and I hope it brought back some memories for you. Maybe not as tragic as my memories were, but don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, man, for more fun and very nostalgic content. I like doing nostalgic content. I want to do more anime. If you guys got an anime you want to recommend or a game I want to look back on, then let me know down in the comments below. And thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next. Your chance of